Hey guys, what's going on? It's Philip with Trade Genius. Pretty crazy 24 hours in crypto land. Basically, in this video, I want to break down what has transpired from yesterday and kind of where we're at technically with Bitcoin today. First thing I want to tell you is don't worry. There's nothing happening to Bitcoin or price or crashing. The pullback was as far as Bitcoin goes perfectly normal, but I did want to address the Coinbase situation where they did a surprise listing of Bcash, an apparent Bcash pump and dump, possibly insider trading, because there was some, let's say, interesting activity that on Bcash leading up to that surprise announcement. Surprise for maybe not everybody. Then we had the Coinbase flash crash. They dipped down to a level that you didn't see on other exchanges. And then we'll just take a look at the technical analysis of Bitcoin right now. So let's take a look at the Coinbase surprise listing of Bcash. So look, they kept the Bcash tokens away from everybody for 5 months or plus. They said we'd release them in January, but we wouldn't. I think the last thing was they were going to release them, but they weren't going to be enabled for trading. So you could take it, move it off exchange, and trade it, whatever. Now, keep in mind, Coinbase supported SegWit 2x, all right? Now, SegWit 2x, that was a fork off from Bitcoin because it doesn't come from the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol, right? So everything that started from the original Satoshi Nakamoto beta release of Bitcoin software, everything's been built upon that using the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol, okay? SegWit 2x broke away from that. That was part of the New York agreement, okay? So there was all these, basically, I think the community looked at that like a bunch of CEOs and corporations trying to take control of what Bitcoin should be. Okay, that failed. The community overwhelmingly supported the user-activated soft fork of SegWit, and that's what they ended up giving into. Then Bcash was created out of that because they wanted to scale with bigger blocks. So moving forwards, Coinbase doesn't implement the SegWit that everybody wanted, although other exchanges did, other wallets did. That would have cut the fees immediately, which ironically is why the New York agreement came together, to try and remedy the high fees. But then they get the solution from consensus and Coinbase refuses to implement it. They said that the community didn't want it. That's just not true. So why the delay in SegWit? Was it intentional? Or were they holding it off for this January, release of Bcash? And then we have this Bcash pump today, and all of a sudden we've got a surprise listing that they're listing Bcash out of the blue. Okay, so last thing we heard was January 1st, and now we've got all of a sudden at about roughly 7 p.m. Eastern, there's a notice going out that GDAX is not going to be enabled for trading Bcash. So here's where that's kind of shady. Because if you look at, and I'm going to show you this was on Reddit about 4 days ago, I think, maybe less. And they posted this. This was basically a roadmap. So what you have is what's supported: buy, sell, deposit, withdraw on both sides, Coinbase and GDAX, same company. You see they have X's here for Bitcoin Cash. You can't buy it, sell, or deposit, and we're projecting to withdraw. Okay, that's in line with what we are all believing that would happen. And that happened after the first of the year. GDAX, same thing. Can't buy, can't sell, can't deposit, but you'll be able to withdraw at some point. So going back to then this, all of a sudden it's listed today, seems kind of weird, right? Here's another thing. Let's take a look at this blue line. Represents GDAX surprise listing. Surprise. All right, now nothing unusual about this action here. So, Bcash was moving around in this range. This wasn't, this in and of itself isn't that big of a deal. But this, all of a sudden, now we're breaking out. And now keep in mind, nobody knew that there was going to be an announcement today. Nobody. Never. They didn't imply there was one. It just happened. So we have this run up, and then all of a sudden, by coincidence, GDAX announces. So somebody knew here. That's the implication here. Somebody knew what was going on. Then the announcement, of course, then, and I don't care what coin it is, high likelihood whenever there's a new listing on a major exchange, they get a pop. This is what happens. So boom, you get a pop. And so, I mean, it looks really, really suspicious that, you know, that something leaked, obviously. But you have to ask yourself, why did they go ahead and do this listing like that when they just said that they were projecting not to have any of those features enabled, and that they were projecting to have withdrawals? So I don't know, guys. It just, you know, it doesn't add up. I suspect that, or it wouldn't surprise me, there's some sort of investigation after the fact, because, you know, now these guys are, you know, for as far as the institutional, the futures, they're one of the exchanges that gets used for the you know, the the CME. You know, they have a blended index, right? Reference rate index, and they're part of that. So, I mean, there's, you know, if there's something like that going on, there's serious implications. So I just find it a little odd that all of that kind of came together. And then you also had, you know, then the resulting flash crash of Bitcoin. Now, you know, you gotta, the thing with the flash crash is that it seems like whenever Coinbase gets overloaded, and this happened with the run up to on the first Bcash pump, a bunch of buying, tons of selling, and you saw the same thing happen today. So you had this flash crash because Coinbase locks up inevitably whenever there's volume, and so they flash crashed down, I think, just below 14,000. Other exchanges, I think, was high 15s, like 15,800 on, say, Bitstamp. So, you know, and that happens both ways too. Remember they extended way up on that one run up to 19,000, I think 600 or something like that. Same thing. The other exchanges didn't get that high, but it's like the supply gets messed up on either end, and you get these really wacky prints. So it kind of throws the charting a little off as far as highs and lows like that, where other charts are more consistent. The other strange thing was that when Bcash was listed, okay, so you now had this run up, Bcash was listed for a brief amount of time, Bcash jumps up $6,000 higher than the rest of all the markets as far as Bcash pricing. So it goes from like $3,000 US up to like $9,000 US and that might have been for like 5 minutes. I know there was some that got coin off, but and then it locked up, and now they're saying that they're going to go ahead and reset all working orders, and they're going to restart the market where you can list an order, but they're not going to be going back and forth until they see like liquidity pile up, and then they're going to let it trade. I don't know, guys. It seems a little strange to me. It really does, especially that high price compared to the rest of the market. I don't know. It just doesn't look really good. If I was Coinbase, I don't know if I'd be sleeping that well overnight. It's not adding up. It doesn't look good at all. And I guess this will probably take some time to shake out, but there's going to be some fallout from that. So let's take a look at the charts. And what we're going to do is we'll take a look at the flash crash chart. This is going to be Coinbase. Coinbase had a 4-hour chart. So, you know, basically it crashed down, hit this fib zone. This fib zone is going to have a target actually of 22,342. All right. From low to high, this was about a 30% pullback on GDAX. But now keep in mind, a lot of the exchanges bottomed out around this level. GDAX just flash crashed because that's what they do, because they can't scale and they lock up. And I'm going to get into a little bit about, you know, going forward from here with this particular exchange, because this, after today, I'm not impressed. Now we're moving back up. You know, this level here, now that we're back up to 17,121 on GDAX. it's hard because this is such a flash crash. You know, I'd rather look at another exchange that kind of held a more normal bottom, and we can take a look at that as far as a, you know, price to retrace. Technically, you would be looking at a high to low like this, and that gives you that fib range. And so basically, you'd be looking at this level here of 17,675 would get us back where bulls would technically be in control. If I was to pull one that was a little bit more in line with the other exchanges, we'd be looking at something like this level here of 18,367 or so, where bulls would be back in control. You know, I think this pullback here is within, you know, is within the standards as far as if you measure them on Coinbase, it's within standard pullbacks. All right, that's just what happens. Keep in mind too, guys, we got, you know, there are institutional funds buying Bitcoin, and on all the way down on this, I saw heavy buying. And then it would dry up and you get another dump of market orders. But this was being accumulated. Make no mistake, this was being accumulated. And it would not be surprising me if the funds were picking up some relatively cheap coins at these levels. So again, I think if you're going to see a quick correction, I think getting up in this 18,400 area, back above there, is going to be key for that. As far as volume goes, now what I like to do, let's see. We got Bitstamp. We've got Coinbase. If we look at a daily on Coinbase, what I like to look for, guys, is on the daily. Now we're gonna have a big daily candle here because we're only about halfway through the day, and you know, as far as a 24-hour candle goes, actually not even. And as you can see, we're going to probably be on a level up here, which is generally, if you see that kind of volume, we're going to be looking at, you know, basically, we're probably looking at one of those days, 2-day periods. I like to measure them in 2-day periods, guys, where you see, you know, sometimes it's a 2-candle bottom, sometimes it's a 3-candle bottom. But that volume is usually generally around 90 to 100,000 Bitcoin. To me, that indicates a bottom. So on a daily, if price continues this way or moves up, you're going to have a pretty intense daily hammer. And the hammer candle, so you know, is a long wick and then a short body, and that just indicates that's usually a reversal candle. The other thing to keep in mind is if you look at Bcash, the last time it pumped and dumped was here on, let's see, November 12th, right? And what happened on November 12th relative to where we are now is this. Bitcoin ripped 254% higher on the last pump and dump attempt. So you got to think, if they're pumping and dumping, every time you do that, you have less of an impact as far as trying to dump, like say, Bitcoin and pump the Bcash side of things, because you're sending out and people are gobbling up your supply. So you can only do that for so long. So from a technical standpoint, I don't see anything super critical with Bitcoin here. If you bought on that dip anywhere down there below 17,000, then I think that's a great spot to add for your positions. But in reality, you know, guys, Bitcoin is the store of value. If you want to make a coin that does payment channels or something like that, that's fine. But I don't think it does the community any good if you're sitting there trying to say, well, I think what we created is the actual real Bitcoin. Well, that's one person's opinion, and Bitcoin is about consensus. All right, that's the beautiful thing about Bitcoin. It's a decentralized coin. So Bitcoin is ultimately, at the end of the day, what the consensus, what the network, what the users say it is. All right, and that's the thing. It's not one person or one group saying we think it should be this. Bitcoin came from the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. So that's Bitcoin. There's no Bitcoin Core, all right? That's just Bitcoin. Now, if you fork off from the Bitcoin Improvement Protocol, if you break away from that and create a totally separate fork, I'm sorry, but that's an altcoin. That's not Bitcoin. All right, that's just fact. So I think the way Coinbase is going about things, with their prior support for other non-BIP implemented forks, the fact that they've delayed SegWit, even though it's overwhelmingly needed, I think the fact that they added Bcash when they're not addressing some of the more pressing issues like wire transfers that don't go through, withdrawal delays, the high fees that could be fixed with SegWit, customer support issues or tickets that are never getting answered. I think they got some strange ways of going about how they think they should be running things, and some strange management decisions by doing a surprise release on some pretty interesting looking pricing action on Bcash itself to the tune of like insider trading kind of stuff. I don't know, guys. It doesn't make Coinbase look good. I think they're going about things in a weird way. I don't think they're addressing the issues that really need to be addressed. And I think if it might be time to just, you're on Coinbase, if I was on Coinbase, coins are gone. They're off that exchange. I don't want to be really messing with anything that's, who knows? I mean, they could have like a regulatory investigation for that kind of stuff. This is a regulated exchange. You can't fool around with this stuff. I just find the recent actions just very, very strange. So, if you're in the U.S., Gemini is a great exchange. You also have Kraken. Internationally, you've got Bitstamp, you've got HitBTC, and Bitfinex, among others. There's plenty out there, so you can do your homework. But I don't know. I think it's time to maybe focus on an exchange that maybe will focus on the actual issues that need to be focused on, rather than trying to list a coin and cause what seemingly like a lot of disruption, to be quite frank, in both their service and in the crypto community. So there's my 2 cents. I'll get off my soapbox, but thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, nothing critical. If you look at Bitstamp as far as price action goes, again, this is nothing like like I said, we're going to watch to see what the price action is. But if you look at the Bitstamp, like if you look at this pullback today, and then I'll let you guys go. But this pullback here, what is this? 20%. Okay, that's not abnormal. If we take a look at this pullback here, that's 23%. This pullback here, this was the last pump, 30%. What are we seeing? We're seeing pullbacks that shrink in size. Now granted, we're going to see if this pullback is over, but it is looking like sufficient volume has come in to make that happen, and we'll see. But if that trend holds, that continues, this kind of follows that same parabolic type activity that moves us up higher. So I say don't, guys, it's, hold. You're going to see, like with anything, sometimes the easiest play, which is hold and accumulate Bitcoin, can get so messed up with fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But I'm just here to tell you, nothing here really is anything to be afraid of. This is normal price action. I'm going to tell you right now, a ton of people bought on this dip, and that's, usually that's the smart money. When people are heading for the doors, smart money's in there saying, yep, I'll take that. And so I fully expect this to be higher. In fact, I'm expecting to see 40,000 Bitcoin probably by March, April. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. So anyway, that's it from you guys. Thanks for watching. And if this video is helpful to you guys, please hit the subscribe button. That really helps us keep these videos coming out to you. So any questions, leave them below. Thanks again, guys. Take care. Bye.